Hit us with that other one.
I had more on that, I think, but I
there's
don't
more?
remember. Well, no, not anymore. Not anymore. There's not anymore. It's okay. You threw off my groove. All right.
Threw off the Emperor's groove.
All right.
All right.
You get thrown out of the window.
Pop Bears beats Battlestar.
Stay on target.
You can't handle the truth.
Stay on target.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
With great power comes great responsibility.
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Oh my gosh. I'm Connor.
I'm Jacob.
Oh, I'm Jordan, and I need a minute.
You need a minute.
I'm okay. I'm Jordan Summers, and I am the new head coach for the Windbreakers.
What? What?
He's the new head coach for the Windbreakers.
What? Oh, now I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I got confused because Wichita has a minor league baseball team called the Wind Surge. And so I thought you said Wind Surge. And I was like, I don't understand where this is going at all. But now you say Windbreakers. Now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah. Bunch of jackets. Oh, man.
Welcome to Pop Culture Redemption. Today is going to be fun. Today's going to be fun. Let me tell you why. Because we are a podcast helping the church have a better vision about God's presence and work in pop culture.
And having a real fun time doing it.
And sometimes we make some really, really fun references that break the show. And we broke the show today already. So as we start today's episode, some housekeeping things. Housekeeping all the time. Follow the show on Instagram and Facebook, Pop CR Pod.
Yes.
You can find
Pop
us.
Culture Redemption.
Or Pop Culture Redemption. You can follow the podcast wherever and however you get your podcasts. And you can also check out our YouTube channel. YouTube. So much fun. We're doing a special thing during the month of January where we have a goal. We see the goal and we're trying to reach the goal. And if you want to help us reach the goal, that would be really awesome. We're wanting to sell 10 shirts in the month of January as they do the Macarena. Jordan and Jacob were doing the Macarena together over here as we were doing some hand signals for emphasis. Emphasis. We want to sell 10 shirts in January. So again, this is for two reasons. One, we just want to rep the brand, right? We know there's a lot of people that are listening pretty regularly.
It's a fun brand.
Peep the style and the kids checking for it. The number one question is, how could you ignore it?
That's right.
I thought you were going to say, how could you afford it?
Yeah.
It's very easily affordable. If you just go to our merch link on our social media, you'll see that it's very easily affordable.
Yep. It's in the show notes as well. And so one, rep the brand, but two, we get a portion of each of the sales, and we want to, we're going to use that money to reinvest back into the show to help grow the show. So if this is something that you really find valuable, listening to this podcast and engaging with the show and the content that we're bringing, it would mean a lot to us and would help us a lot to continue to grow the show if you could buy some of our merchandise. So check out the link below. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got crew necks.
Let me tell you, that hoodie is really comfortable.
Nice and soft. So
It's really
soft.
nice.
We've got hoodies and crew necks aplenty. We've got sweaters and great merch galore.
There we go. Come on, keep going.
So go to our store.
Got it. So
Nailed
today we are diving into the movie Elemental, which right now is on Disney Plus. It came out in 2023. Did it come out in 2023?
Yes,
it did.
Yes, it
I
came
did
out
not.
this year.
I did not update the release date on here, so I don't know what day it actually released on, and I apologize for that. But it did come out in 2023. Is a little bit smaller than the last movie we reviewed.
A little smaller.
We did Top Gun last week, and for this podcast, Elemental is actually number 9 highest
That's
grossing
still up
movie
there.
in top 10 in 2023.
Yeah.
Had 150 million domestic box office and 500 million worldwide.
June
So-
16th.
June 16th. Thank you,
Man,
Jordan.
it was in the
Oof.
top 10, even though it kind of got overshadowed by Barbie Hammer.
Yep.
That's impressive.
It did.
It's a good movie.
Some cast members. Oh, I did not practice this dude's name. This is going to be bad. We have Leah Lewis plays Ember, or voices Ember, and Mamoudou Effie plays Wade. I thought when I typed this into my notes, I was like, I got to practice that guy's name. And then I promptly forgot about it until this moment.
When you had your flat tire? Yeah.
That's right. And then Catherine O'Hara is the only other actor that I recognized, and she plays Brooke Ripple, the mom of Wade. So the water character. So anyways, this is, again, a Disney movie that came out in 2023. We're going to dive in right in. We're not messing around. We've got our normal rejoice, reject, redeem. So let's just start it off right.
Hold on.
Let's
I've got it right here.
Oh, he's got something.
Ati.
What is it? Oh, he's got the pronunciation of that guy's name.
Mamadou.
Mamadou?
Mamadou Ati.
That person.
He plays
Recording.
Mamadou Ati. Ati. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
I can't hear that name without thinking, Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Mamadou.
Oh, dude, what a great movie.
That is a good movie.
Mama, do or do not, there is no try.
Do or do not. There is no try. All right, rejoice. What was good about this movie, guys? Let's dive in.
Well, I was going to mention, since there was such a obscure budget, it's probably because they had to spend all of their money on their animation.
Yeah.
Do you realize how hard it is to animate water?
No, I don't, actually.
It's actually very difficult.
It's very, very
that's
difficult.
part of the reason why Avatar Way of Water has been hyped so much, because of how realistic they made the water look, and how, like, wow, it looks like real water. And I'm like, if that's what...
The two hardest things to animate is water and hair.
Yep.
So they had, and like, dude, the main actor, the main guy was made of water.
Cool.
Of course, the cast was going to be pretty obscure. They had to spend all of their money on the water.
I think he did a really good job.
He did a great job. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. No, so I was going to say, I really like the animation. It was really weird to me at first. Like, the fire people's nose really didn't make sense until you started thinking about it. It's like, oh, why would it go down? It's fire. Fire goes up.
My hair goes up, my hair goes down, my hair goes up. That's a Rhett and Link reference. If you know, you know. That's...
I mean, I know Rhett and Link.
We don't have to be friends if you know that.
I really
one.
only watched through like season 10 or 12. I stopped watching after that. Anyways, it was really weird to me at first, but I really grew to like enjoy all the really creative things that they were able to do with the different elements. Like, I thought it was really cool.
Or Joyce, that Disney said the G word.
Yeah.
They said God in a movie.
Wait, when?
They said it'll take an act of God to get me across the bridge. Ember said that pretty early. And I was like, and then she goes across the bridge. So I was like, wait, what's Disney saying?
I'm going to swing back around to that in the review section. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Nice. I'll also say, like, it was refreshing to see a love story told in a way that wasn't as, like, it felt fresh and new. Like, it didn't seem like your average love story. I enjoyed it. After watching, like, the trailer, you had said that, like, you, Connor, had said that, like, you weren't totally excited for it because it just seemed like some sort of sappy animated chick flick. But I don't know. It was refreshing to me. And I'll have more to say on that later on.
Sounds good. Jordan?
Well, yeah. So first of all, I want to rejoice in the awesome world building. Like, I part of me, like, I don't want there to be a sequel because I feel like it's great as a standalone story. But I want to stay in the world.
How about a prequel movie? Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, just like another story, a different story, different, even you could do the same character, you can do different characters entirely. I think they created a really awesome world, and I want to be in that world more and explore that world more. And when you create a world that I want to see more of, not because I haven't had or not because like, I don't understand it well enough, but because like it's great and I haven't had enough of it and I want more, then I think you've created something like a really interesting, compelling world. Like that's
yeah. Dude, it's like did you see Bridge to Terabithia?
Oh yes, it's been a long time.
The world
but
building
yeah.
in that movie
I forgot about that movie.
Was amazing. And it makes you want to see more, while at the same time it's like, but I don't want you to mess with the purity of the story. Like, it's good. Don't mess with it, but please do.
Yeah. So that there was that. And I also want to rejoice this. This is my like main rejoice point. Elemental is the journey of realizing everyone has their own story full of pain and trauma. And I think it's good to recognize that and call that out. And I think it's beautiful that they've done that.
I'm also going to take any chance to rejoice in Wade wasn't exactly like a tough guy, but anytime pop culture shows that it's okay for a man to cry is pretty big.
I'm going to get to Wade in my reject.
A little waiter.
A little
Or
Wade.
you're going to get to
You're
a little waiter.
You're gonna wade out there.
Oh, yeah.
Get to it a little bit.
Yep.
I had a
I don't
question.
know. We might run out of tide.
I had a question for Jacob.
Uh-oh.
As the only married person,
Oh,
what's hanky panky?
I'm not telling you. I'll tell you when you're older.
At the end, the fire parents say they got more time for hanky panky. What?
It's a board game.
What is? Oh, I love board games.
Should look it up later.
Okay.
Turn your safe search on and look it up later.
Implying that it's off.
just double check.
No, my main rejoice is the complex issue of family honor and sacrifice that this movie seeks to name and address. Like as it's walking through with the main character Ember and her family, specifically the relationship with her father, but also with her mother and with her grandparents too, of the pressures of a child coming of age and navigating expectations that are placed on her, either by her family, by those around her, or by herself, right? And figuring out how to navigate that in a healthy way. I didn't agree entirely with what the movie pushed as far as like, how are you to navigate that healthily, and what's the healthy outcome of that? And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I don't think they meant to show the healthy way to do it. They kind of showed it kind of blow up in the face.
I
Until
felt
it was
like there was ways that Disney was saying this is the outcome that you should have.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I think I agree with you to a certain extent, but I did feel like Disney was pushing specific ways and things that aren't, and I'll get into that in my reject. But I found it just really engaging that they even tried to tackle that, and the way that they showed that and demonstrated it was creative and excellent, and I felt like was really a good depiction of what that can look like. And I found it helpful in my own ways to engage with that and critically analyze those own pressures in my life, and how have I navigated those things? What are those pressures that have been on me or that are on me? And how am I navigating that with the Lord moving forward? So I really want to rejoice that was a really cool
good
thing and a unique aspect to a movie that I haven't seen in a lot of other movies.
But is a very common thing in the world today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's often something that is really difficult to name.
Yes.
And I thought that they did a great job of naming it and of putting it front and center and saying this is an issue. And for probably everybody, maybe not everybody, for a lot of people, right, as far as how do you navigate that. And oh yeah, that is, oh, okay. I haven't thought about how I actually should navigate that moving forward. So that was good. So bravo, Disney.
Yeah. No, they did a really good job of like, I mean, there is I'm sure one of us is going to mention it at like maybe, and if it's not, I think it's good to mention it. The line that Wade had said, sometimes I think my temper is just me trying to tell myself something I'm not ready for yet, because you see a transition from Ember just being a very angry person to then realizing why she was a very angry person. And I think that is such a crucial thing to realize, is that your anger is a secondary emotion. It never comes by itself. So if you're angry, it's coming from something else. For Ember's instance, it was an anger over feeling trapped by her situation. And the weight of, like you're saying, expectation of my parents sacrificed so much so that I could do for what she thought. So I could do this and run the shop. And I don't want to. Like, it really showed a good, like, process. One, because she didn't figure it out on her own. And two, because, like, if she had not been able to voice out some of her fears, she would have kept on thinking, okay, well, I still want to do this, but I just have to control my temper.
Anything else we want to rejoice before we move on?
Soundtrack was pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it fit well with what Jordan was talking about as far as the world building.
Yeah.
And it really partnered well with
We also talk about how, like, low key, they just threw in a new language.
Fire-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you could learn how to speak Fire-ish. It seemed like a very, thought out language.
I was so confused with, like, is Disney like going for a specific ethnicity with this, or is it just like general not from here, like not American? Like, what is the? I was like trying to figure out, is this like pulling from a real world equivalent? Because
Yeah.
that used to be how Disney.
That's what I
did
thought at
things.
first too. Like, oh great, we're gonna get into some like really
Racial
racial
stereotypes.
stereotypes, but they didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
For the most
yeah,
part.
Disney tends. I don't know. Disney's weird with that whole dynamic. Like, I can't tell if Disney is either really good at it or really bad
If
at
they're
it.
really progressive or if they're really racist.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like I can't tell if they're really good at honoring other cultures or if they're really guilty of appropriating them. I cannot tell. And check the melatonin. Of course I can't tell.
Yeah, says the white boy
Yeah.
in a room of white boys.
I mean, even
Wait.
Swedish white Jesus is on the wall right there.
Staring right at me.
Wish we
Yeah.
had like the ability to pan the camera so we could just shoot like right to it.
It's. I mean, it looks like every picture of Jesus that you've ever seen. So
Imagine Qui-Gon Jinn. There you go.
there you go. All right, let's go to reject. What do we want to reject as bad?
I reject how much I am Wade and how much I relate to Wade. Like, I am Wade.
This is a reject.
Yes. I reject how much Disney, like, pinned me down
It's
as a
because-
character
it's-
and
it's
put me in a
because-
movie.
It's because
without my
you
consent and
didn't,
without getting
you didn't
paid.
select the don't sell my information button. Did you select that on your phone? Because my guess is they were pulling from someone.
Jordan has a name, image, likeness claim that he will be making filing with Disney this week.
Image and personality
And,
likeness.
that's right.
I am Jordan. It's literally like the Jordan River, water, Wade. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
It's you. Yeah.
Like,
Jordan the man.
like his emotionalness and like how he approaches relationships and like his like, oh man, you're so awesome and I'm just the guy who doesn't have a chance. I'm just yeah exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, shut up, Wade, you're me. And I hate it.
Shut up, Wade.
I love it. I love Wade so much.
Is that Wade Boggs?
No, stop it.
Jacob's deep cut of the week. Sorry.
Wade Boggs would be a good name for a water person, wouldn't it?
It would.
Oh,
This is a
Anyway.
famous baseball player.
Of course.
also, I was just making a psych reference, but it's okay.
Anyway,
Connor didn't get it.
Oh, I got it.
speaking of rejection and Wade, I reject Wade's actions at the opening of the grand opening.
His
when
like,
he
hey, I'm
comes in-
probably being a jerk, but
like I reject how Wade
Mhm.
handled that whole situation. Wade was totally selfish. It was self-serving. It was all about Wade trying to get what he really wants.
Yeah.
And because getting, I want to say Ember.
Yep.
Okay. I kept getting confused between Ember and the mom's name.
oh, I don't even that
I don't
name
remember
was
her name.
blocked.
It
from my
was Cinder
memory.
and
Cinder.
Ember and Cinder.
Oh.
So I kept getting I got a little confused between their names for a little bit. But Ember, like Wade, of course, like he's gonna go and try to tell her, go after the dream and the things that you want. Because Wade directly benefited from that because like he was the thing, right? He was part of the dream. It's like Wade didn't
He had
actually
a biased opinion, yeah.
he had a biased opinion. Wade didn't I'm not convinced that Wade actually initially wanted what was best for Ember. I think Wade and I think men and people in general
Ooh, we're
tend-
going there.
tends to have I don't want what's best for you. I really want what's best for me, but I'm disguising it as this veneer of I'm what's best for you.
Okay.
Or it might be I'm what's best for you, or like my way and the things that benefit me is what's best for you.
Yeah.
And like that is really dangerous and really unhealthy. It can be very damaging for a lot of people. It can be damaging for the person who's like doing that and imposing that on people. I think Wade would have benefited from the old saying, if you love something, set it free. And I think
Love me, let me go. Sorry.
thank you. I'm going to be taking that and I'm going to work that into a song later.
It
I'm
is
going
a
to take
song.
the audio clip. No. I'm just going to take you going, oh! I'm just going to take that part.
Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, Wade. So at the end of the movie, I think Wade kind of started to correct that with the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think he started to like lean into, okay, well, you know what? It's not about me. And I'm giving myself away for your benefit. Even though there's a little bit of a hero complex still in that. And I also reject the hero complex that men tend to have, especially when it comes to relationships.
Have to save her.
I will
Yeah,
be
because
your hero, baby.
yeah, you see, exactly. We have songs about it. It's like every Disney
I
movie.
need a
There's
hero,
the
calling
damsel in
out
dis-
for a hero to the morning light.
so there's this consistent like thing in Disney specifically does this a lot and has for 100 years. There's this consistent theme of the man. There's the damsel in distress and the man coming to rescue and be the hero. And I think men want that because they want a reason to justify being loved and wanted and appreciated, and they want like
Oh,
a
they need
reason to
feel loved, like
Oh.
to deserve feeling loved and wanted.
yeah, they want it like I've earned this. Like it's like there's no I want you for who you are and what you it's like I want you for what you've done. Like you've earned this, you can get it, you can just attain it. And that's not real love. Real love has the potential for rejection. And men hate rejection.
It's true.
It's true.
So that's my reject.
I think that moment too. Yeah, I think that moment too when he crashes the party, right? Like I watched that and I too was like, ugh. But my reason for it was I felt like he was extremely arrogant.
Yeah.
Yep.
How like you've known this person for a week. I don't know 3 days or whatever, and you're coming in like you know what's best for her.
Mhm.
You've spent like maybe one full day
You
with
barely
her.
know her. You know, I mean, like, yeah, with it, movies,
talk
just
about
telling
hero
stories. Telling stories, there's always like, you know, you rush the timetable because you only have an hour and a half to tell the story and all that stuff. So I get it, but like, bro, you think like to come in and to think that you know what's best for her more than like her parents know what's best for her. I'm not saying that her parents knew what was best for her, so I'm not saying that. But to think that you know better than them and to just like come in blazing, I was like, bro, slow down.
For a water guy who's coming in pretty hot.
I know. I was like, slow down, my dude.
That water was boiling.
Yeah.
So I'm a piggyback off a similar concept, or I might touch on a spot here. I'm sure, Jordan, you probably have a lot to say about this subject. Let's talk about the idea of a perfect match. Oh, I knew I was gonna spark something. Hey, so let me just be frank here.
Hi, Frank.
Nope. There is no such thing as a perfect match. And if there were such thing as a soulmate, which there isn't, they would not be found, they would be made. I like it always like since the Cinder, that was the mom's name, since she said it, like it just I don't like this, where she said, oh, they're the perfect match. What about their relationship seemed like to qualify as perfect? Is it that they never fought? No, that was half the freaking movie. Like, was it that they were perfect for each other physically? Fire and water. Their families definitely didn't get along. Her family store was struggling. His family wouldn't stop crying. Like, there is literally no part of this that I would describe as a perfect match for each other, except for one thing. They were both willing to fight for that relationship, and they both cared about each other. Because the deal is, at the very end of it, soulmates do not exist. And if they did, they would be made, not found.
Unless you spell it SOLE, in which case.
Yes. Stop. If you're looking for the one to meet all of your needs.
His name is Jesus.
Yes. But if you're looking for that in any other person, you have it backwards. Don't look for the one that will love you enough, the one that is tall enough or smooth enough, or, all of the other things. Because first of all, like, you're going to throw everybody else in the bath in the bath water, because every woman, girls, every man is worthy of love and grace and forgiveness. Doesn't matter if they're the one or not. You should just be treating everybody with respect no matter what. But also, finding that one isn't about making sure that your relationship with them is perfect. It's not about finding the one to serve you. It's about the one that you are willing to serve. It is about the one that you are willing to sacrifice for, the one that you are willing to struggle with and fight with, the one that makes that God uses to make you a better man or woman, better shaped in the image of Jesus Christ. And the one that you are willing to share that journey with as you become more like Jesus. In my vows at my wedding, part of my vows to my wife were that she was and continues to be the primary vessel that Yahweh uses to mold me in the image of Jesus. And that my commitment to her in our marriage is to make sure that she receives the first fruits of that molding and the benefits of the first benefits of me being made more and more in the image of Jesus. And fortunately, that is the closest I've ever gotten to experiencing what it's like to find the perfect match, quote unquote. My wife and I are not perfect for each other because none of us are perfect.
Yep.
However, it is the perfect and infinite and personal God that through his perfection continues to pour into the covenant that we made to each other from the day we were married and until death do we part.
That's
Nailed
right,
it.
ladies. Love me because even though I'm flabby. I'm flabulous.
Flabulous. Amazing. Thank you for summing that up perfectly. That's so funny. Okay, Connor, what you got?
I got two.
Ooh,
I got
bring it.
two. One of them's shorter and one of them's the full thing. So I'll start with the shorter one. I want to reject her father not being clear about her being the dream.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not cool, bro.
come on. Like, people that in our lives that we love and we care about should have no doubt that we love and care about them and put them and prioritize them above things in our life or the shop that we own in our life, and we need to be clear about our motivation with them. Like, yes, Jacob.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
You can if you
what
want.
if Dad didn't know that that's what it was until he saw her be real with him? She's the dream because he's trying to work so hard to give her a means of supporting herself and her future family.
I mean, that's fair, but I still reject
But he
that.
might, reject that, yes. But devil's advocate here, he might not have known that was his reason until that moment.
And that's part of my reject is saying that let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
With ourselves and with others. Can we be really clear about what, because, you hear all the stories about people that have regrets because they spent too much time at work instead of with, their family, with their kids, or they prioritize the career advancement or making lots of money or, whatever above the people that mattered most in their life. And they come to the end of their life and they have tremendous regrets because of that.
Yeah.
Cat's in the cradle.
And a silver spoon.
There you go. Let's not
Yes.
have regrets, people, about that. I mean, we're going to have regrets about things, but let that not be one of them.
Hit us with that other one.
I had more on that, I think, but I
there's
don't
more?
remember. Well, no, not anymore. Not anymore. There's not anymore. It's okay. You threw off my groove. All right.
Threw off the emperor's groove.
All right.
All right.
As you get thrown out of the window. All
That
right,
needs
so
to be the intro to
this
episode.
idea is half baked. So let me get through it, and then you two can help me fully bake this
Okay.
thing.
Did you set the oven to 400 degrees?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was preheating, and I don't know what happened. Oven turned off. I don't know what happened, but it's only half baked. So let's work this out together, audience. Okay, so the whole premise of the movie, and the reason why the trailer, when I saw the trailer, I was like, is because it hinges on this quote by Wade, where he's talking with Ember, and he asks her, "Why does anyone get to tell you what you can do in your life?" And it just, I was like, I don't know what I think about that. It doesn't feel right. But so let's unpack this a little bit. One, I want to talk about the lie of independence. That's a lie, right? The idea that we can do whatever we want on our own terms, and we don't impact anyone around us, that we're just living in our own world, and that our
That's just
actions don't
naive.
have consequences on other people, is a lie. And it's a lie to think that that's the best way that we can live, is for ourselves.
Yeah.
Also a lie. Okay, so we have that lie. Okay, but then the other aspect of that is the lie of dependence, complete dependence, right? It's the opposite extreme, right? Where we are solely dependent, and this is the tension of this movie, right? Because if she is dependent on her family, like the living up to her family's expectations, then she's become the shop owner without any thought about it.
No thought.
Right.
No choice.
Right. So I'm not saying she made a bad decision in following her passions and convictions, or in telling her father ultimately the truth that she didn't want to run the shop. But the idea that she should just say screw everyone else and do her own thing without considering what that decision is going to mean for her father and for her family and for the people around her is equally ridiculous.
Looking at you, Miles Morales.
That's right. Yes, it's coming back, right? Because
flashback to our 5th and 6th episodes, Spider-Verse.
So we have the lie on the one hand of independence, complete independence. We have the lie on the other hand of complete, I don't know if dependence is the right word, because we want to be dependent on the Lord, and that's true, but like completely dependent on the people around us, right? There's kind of a
controlled by the people around us.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, that's also. So where's the middle? The truth of interdependence, right? So we think about Romans 12 talks about the body of Christ, just as each one of us are one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function. So in Christ, we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. So as a body of believers, we belong to each other. And just as people living in the world, we don't operate in a vacuum. Our actions have consequences for those around us, right? It can be good consequences. It can be bad consequences. It can be neutral consequences. But to think that we live independent lives is a lie. It's just a lie. It's not true. It's just not true. And to operate like we live independent is selfish.
It's
naive, and it hurts the people around us.
Yeah.
So that line, why does anyone get to tell you what you can do in your life?
I was just reading about this earlier today.
Take that half bake.
Okay.
Give it a little bit more.
I'm gonna add some spices. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd actually really enjoy this book. I started reading this book. It's I can't remember the title. It's something literally like How to Write a Worship Song, but it's by Chrissy Nordoff.
Okay.
Who, if for those who don't know, Chrissy Nordoff wrote the song like Your Great Name, which is a phenomenal worship song. But she was talking about, there was a section, oh man, what was it? She said something along the lines of like she was wrestling through, the Christian struggle, and I'll get this more in my redeem part, the like, why can't I just be a good Christian? Why can't I be a good daughter? Right? Why can't I just do good? Right? In her mind, the goal was, well, I just thought that as I continue walking with Christ, I would just be less held down by the flesh. But that's called self-independence. That's not relying on Jesus. Like, that's not the point. That's not self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is not the point of our faith. We are supposed to walk in dependency with Jesus. Mm-hmm. That's the answer to lie number one. The answer to lie number two, right? That we just live in a void and none of our decisions mean anything. She, later in the chapter, brought up this point that, like, I didn't even know this. Did you know if you take a human heart out of the body, the electrical pulses can still make it beat? I did not know this.
Never tried it.
Right. Never tried it either. It never had the Indiana Jones, like, Kalima moment.
I played Mortal Kombat once.
But here's the thing, though. So she's making the point of the body of Christ, right? Our purpose comes twofold when you look in scriptures. It comes from the fact that we are made in God's image, but it also comes in the fact that we are made in the body of Christ. So you can take the heart out of the body and it will still pump, but it will have no purpose. And it will not be able to serve its full function unless it is connected with the rest of the body. Answer to line number 2. Not only are you not in a void where none of your decisions affect other people, but like, that's the way you're supposed to be, is living in connection with other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan's song recommendation for this week is We All Need Each Other by Jordan Taylor, who is the face of Blind Meat Cow, who also did a video on YouTube called How to Write a Worship Song.
Nice.
So that all just like
full, complete circle. I do suggest that book by Chrissy Nodoff, though. It's really, really good.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So that line for me, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It just doesn't quite sit.
No.
It doesn't quite sit well.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So, and that's why. So, I don't like flat out disagree with it, but the heart behind it, I'm kind of like, no.
Well, can we let's move on to what all we can redeem.
Redeem. All right. So again, redeem. What are the things within this movie that we found as a bridge point to the gospel?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Sweet.
Go for it.
Because I want to talk about the one movie. I kind of mentioned this already before. That one moment that to me connected to a lot of other parts of the movie, which is Ember's by herself, kind of leaning on the edge of the rail, and she says, "Why can't I just be a good daughter?" You guys don't even like you Jordan, you've known me longer, so you might have a little bit more of a realization, but still, you neither of you guys know how much I have dealt with literally that exact question, just minus the daughter bit because I'm not a girl.
Are you sure about that, Mrs.
Female
Mrs.
pop star?
It's the gift that just keeps on giving.
Oh man. But like all that, like how much I relate to that one moment and all of the other moments of her anxiety and anger that Ember just couldn't keep to herself, that stemmed from that one question: why can't I just be a good daughter? So I had a completely different thing I was going to share for Redeem for this movie, because moving above and beyond family expectations. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
You already covered it though, so we're just going to keep moving on. But I had a different thing until like literally this morning when I was spending time with Jesus, like spending time with the Lord. I found my old journals and I started going through them. And they're like filled with these kinds of questions. And these are journals that stem all the way back to like, not super far back, but like 2016. It's far enough back, 8 years ago, but they're filled with the like, why can't I be a good son, a good worship leader, a good pastor, a good friend, a good husband? Why can't I just do the right things? Why do I always ruin things? Why can't I just be good enough, be good, do enough, be strong enough, blah, 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 blah. It goes on. Have I mentioned this dated back 8 years? I get terrified by the idea of hurting others or even causing discomfort or inconvenience for others. Really just like negatively impacting someone's day in any way, shape, or form, no matter how extreme or small. I've gotten a lot better over the last years of dealing with that, but most of my lowest moments can be attributed to these like situations. I hurt someone and I just can't stand myself and attack myself with those questions. Why can't I just ... So in my time with the Lord this morning, I stumbled onto an old journal entry that like it gave me chills, and I just need to read it. So this is what I'd wrote, and I think it was like 2020. I don't know. But here we go. It says, I'm starting to ask the wrong questions again. King David knew how to ask the right questions. He asked questions about you, God, and to you, because he knew you, who you were and who you are. So where I ask what's wrong with me, he would ask, where have you gone? What are you doing? He knew what questions to ask because his whole identity was in you. Anytime he went astray, he never let his depression define him. He immediately came back to you because he trusted you more than he could ever distrust himself. I'm going to say that again. Trusting you, God, more than he could ever distrust himself. Ember didn't trust her parents with the real her. Didn't trust that they would love her if she couldn't be the daughter that she imagined them wanting to be. They never really said it outright. Like, dad did kind of, probably a little more than mom, but like, this is just all in her head of like, this is how I be the good daughter. She could not trust her parents with the real her. And often, just as often as I continue to struggle to trust God with the outcomes, to trust God with, when I need to act in obedience, or really just letting other people see the real me when it goes from good to bad to ugly. So here's what I want to redeem. Because I'm sure that a lot of other people listening to this have gone through similar moments. There will be a lot of times when you don't feel like you can trust yourself or trust others to really know the real you. But I can tell you, after seeing God come through time and time again, that he is worth trusting far more than I could ever distrust myself. Every time I think I can do something stupid, God has a way to redeem it every single time. So even though I may not trust myself every time, I am far more willing to trust him more than I could distrust myself. He is worth trusting when I need to know, when I need to obey him, right? So if I need to confront a friend, and I know that there could be some hurt feelings from this, to trust that not only God loves that other person, but God also loves me enough and has gifted me with the strengths and weaknesses that I have to act in a way that bears his image in the way that only I can. And same goes for any listening. Whether your strengths, your weaknesses, your flaws, or all the things that you are so proud of, God has a way of bringing his image through you in the way that only you can. It's okay to trust him more than you could ever distrust yourself.
Yep.
Once again, I'm reminded of another song.
I swear, if it's by Linkin Park, I'm going to smack you.
It's Papa Roach, actually. The other Linkin Park. It's Falling Apart by Papa Roach. It sympathizes with this exact thing quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, just think about all the times that she was angry. Honestly, her fire, her heat, her passion is what gave her talent of the glass making, right? So the thing that she thought was so bad about herself ended up being the thing that which she brought the most beauty into the world. There's another Papa Roach song now, isn't there?
No, I'm just imagining her like, yeah, take that stupid glass. You like,
I mean, sometimes isn't songwriting kind of like that?
Yeah.
Yes, creating in general.
God has a way of taking the things that we think are the weakest about us and turning them into our greatest strengths, aka 2 Corinthians 12 or chapter 12, where it says that Christ's love is made perfect through our weaknesses. So I will boast in my weakness so that Christ's love may be made perfect through me.
Refining fire. My heart's one desire is to be
What?
holy,
Ricola.
set apart. That's like 90s worship, my dude.
Nope.
Weren't you alive in the 90s?
Barely.
That's true. Were you?
Yeah.
Yes, you were. You definitely were. 90 what? 7?
96.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't listen to my own music until it was like 2002.
That's fair.
You released music in 2002?
Oh my goodness. Listen to music for myself.
Yeah, okay.
I hate you. I love you. All right, somebody else go.
I got one.
Awkward.
Yeah,
I got one. All right. When she tells Wade, "Are you crying?" and then he says, "I've never been punched in the face by beauty before." I was like, that is a good way to put it. That's really good. Because more and more I find myself as I get older, as we just talked about, figuring
You're
out
so old.
so old, 30. Oh my gosh. Is I find myself being moved to tears more, which is a good thing. I celebrate that.
Old man.
I know. Getting soft in my old
Look
age.
at my life.
Because of similar reasons, like, getting punched in the face by beauty. And I'm like,
That does not give women permission to punch men in the face.
it was
Unless men do something really stupid
Well.
and deserve being punched in the face.
No comment.
Different conversation.
We'll talk about domestic abuse on a different episode.
Oh my gosh.
Behold, like we did this song called "Behold" by Phil Wickham in our Christmas Eve services, and like there's a part in the bridge where they're doing the callback to "Oh come all you faithful, we give you all the glory, we give you all the glory, we give you all the glory, Christ the Lord," and it says, "We praise your name forever, praise your name forever, praise your name forever," and it's like this like really impactful moment, and I was just like, "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry," because if I cried, I'm leading worship. And it will get a little
get ugly real
difficult to
fast.
sing, type of deal. So I'm like, tear, like that's right. Yeah, I'm like walking that line. I'm like, ugh. But moved by just the people of God praising God and thinking about that for all eternity. In that moment, like it's like those moments of beauty
what heaven sounds like.
Yes, that God just kind of like reveals a glimpse, like it gives you a glimpse of Himself, or it gives you a glimpse of something, and we see like the majestic and the majesty of God, and we see the tremendous beauty only in glimmers, because I think that's all we can handle at this point where we're at, and it captivates you, and it holds you, and it moves you to tears. And I think that's a similar expression to what when Wade is like, I've never been punched in the face by beauty before. It's kind of like, in a good way, getting punched in the face by the beauty and majesty of God, the Son of God, what He did, how He did it, why He did it, like all these things, His glory and His majesty, and I feel like when I'm gifted with those moments from the Lord, again, it's like getting punched in the face
By beauty.
with beauty. Yeah, in Psalm
Wait,
27,
with beauty or by beauty?
Either,
Yeah.
either with or by. I mean, Wade said by beauty, but sometimes I feel like it's getting punched in the face with beauty or by beauty, whatever. You can decide what participle you want to use there. Psalm 27, verse 4 and 5. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord, and to seek Him in His temple. For in the day of trouble, He will keep me safe in His dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of His sacred tent, and set me high upon a rock. And I think this is important for us as believers to recognize as we engage with people, as we engage with culture, and this is why we do this podcast, right? We want to name the things that are beautiful and say, hey, these beautiful things that we recognize that are beautiful actually point us to Jesus. It reminds us that we serve a God who designed and cares about beauty, not just utility, but one who is very, very, very interested in beauty and in showing His beauty and displaying it. Like He didn't need to make a sunset paint the sky with purple, but He did, and it's awesome. He didn't need to make.
Dude, Kansas sunsets are the literal best.
I know.
Have you ever seen a West Texas sunset?
I mean, I'm
the-
assuming it's going to be 4 times bigger because it's in Texas.
I mean, literally, yes. Like, because Texas is so West Texas is so flat, you watch the sun go all the way down. The one thing that I will brag about West Texas, the only thing that I will brag about West Texas
is the sun.
Sorry,
Is
West
the
Texas
sunset.
fans.
Right. Like He didn't need to make the Grand Canyon so wide or so deep. You ever been in the Grand Canyon?
Nope.
It's insane. It's insane. Or like the mountains so big and tall, so immense.
Or
Like
Jordan Summers is so awesome.
so awesome. He didn't need to do that, but He did it.
He did it just
He
for us.
did it.
Just for
Just for
us
us.
and this podcast. You know what? That didn't press any buttons
Oh,
in the last episode. But you know what? Jordan Summers,
Jordan, you get a round of
you
applause.
are beautiful.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true. So to wrap up this beauty point, I think it's important for us as believers to be able to engage with people and to name what is beautiful and what is good. And that's why we do this podcast. And I think oftentimes it can be so easy to get stuck in the negative, in what is wrong
it.
with the world, in what is wrong with culture or whatever, whatever that means. It's more contagious and it's more motivating and attractive to people when we are the people of God filled with hope and engaging with beauty and things that are beautiful, and naming what is beautiful and using that to point us to Jesus, as opposed to naming what is broken and saying, like, see, you're so broken. Like, this thing is so broken. You need Jesus, which is true. But the beauty of it and the hope, it's not just the like that things suck. Like, you suck. You need Jesus. No, like, Jesus loves you.
That's actually like, so that's the beginning of the gospel message. There was the With the Perrys podcast episode. It was one of their most recent ones. I don't remember which one that is. Oh, I do know. It was their How to Preach the Gospel episodes. There was part 1 and part 2. But they said, like, you can start with the, you're a sinner in need of grace. But, like, do you know anybody who doesn't know that they're broken?
Right.
The true start of the gospel story is God had something beautiful for our lives.
Are you telling me that the gospel
set a standard that we could not obtain?
Are you telling me that the Bible starts in Genesis 1, not in Genesis 3?
Yeah, right? The Bible starts at Genesis 1, people.
And it was good.
God creating, it is good.
It was good.
Man walks with God. We tend the garden. We get to rest in his presence. That's where the gospel starts. But all we focus on is Genesis 3, the fall.
Yep.
But there is a beauty before. Everybody knows we're broken, but everybody wants and needs to hear that there is something beautiful for their lives.
That's right.
That's where the gospel starts.
Yep. You better preach. That's my redeem.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jordan, bring us home, my dude.
All right. Ember said it would take an act of God to get her to go into the city. When she inevitably did go into the city, she never
wasn't foreboding at all.
She never once acknowledged God. Movie didn't talk about her at all.
Right.
We often beg God for help, but don't acknowledge him in his healing and blessing.
Yep.
Luke 17, 1. Luke 17, 11 through 19. 10 men healed. While traveling to Jerusalem, he passed between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 men with leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and raised their voices, saying, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he told them, Go and show yourselves to the priest. And while they were going, they were cleansed. But one of them, seeing that he was healed, returned, and with a loud voice gave glory to God. He fell face down at his feet, thanking him. And he was a Samaritan. Dive into that history if you want to. That's
Jews and Samaritans. They really, it's like Democrats and Republicans. They hate each other.
There you go. Which they shouldn't, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, then Jesus said, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Didn't any return to give glory to God except this foreigner?" And he told him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has saved you." Or it could also be translated, or faith has made you well. There are so many times throughout all of our lives when we will jokingly say, or many of us will jokingly say, or will actually in faith pray, "I wish God would do this thing," or "Lord, please do this thing. God show up, God show up, God show up, God be there, God be in my life and a part of my life, and like, let me see your hand in this." And then it happens, and we either pretend it doesn't or we don't acknowledge it. We don't look for it. I don't think the 9, and I don't think any character in this movie, especially Ember, was looking for God. And if we're not looking for him, it's not very likely that we're going to see him. That is what this podcast is about.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's about seeing God and developing an awareness of his presence, his ever nearness to us. Like in every moment, right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, in this very moment, God is nearer to you than you can ever begin to hope or imagine. And he loves you and died to save you and redeem you and lead you out of darkness into light. To all of us. But we just often let it slip away. But we don't have to. We don't have to be the 9.
Yeah.
We can learn more and more to be the one who comes back and prays and see God and see His moving and working in our lives.
Yeah.
We can learn to pray without ceasing. We can learn to, as Brother Lawrence did, we can learn to wash dishes in the presence of God.
Yeah. Dude, I literally was talking about that story with my friend Bo. I'd never realized it before in this story until we were talking about this the other day. Because him and I are going to the book of Luke right now. The 9 still walk away cleansed. How can you ever say that God isn't gracious? Like, any evidence that like God would only accept those who accept them, this story trashes that immediately. Because think about it, like he tells the one, your faith has made you well, but the other 9 are walking away well.
Yep.
Man, like if I ever begin to doubt the grace and the loving kindness of God, I just need somebody to remind me that story. The 9 still walked away, even though they did not recognize him. You know, they probably thought about him for the rest of their life, every day for the rest of their lives. Being a leper in that time is not good. Is not a good time. Not only like the disease itself was terrible, but because of the culture of the time, you were treated as sinful. It's your fault that you got this. And so even if after you were cleaned, you were still treated as the sinner who got leprosy.
Yeah.
Like the rest of your life is ruined because you were a leper. And so those 9 probably didn't go a day without thinking about him. But they never acknowledged him, and yet they were still healed. Tell me that God isn't good.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we're in the podcast, and I want to leave space for us and for people to have an opportunity to think about this, right? Meditate in the Spirit just for 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes, right? And think about, prayerfully reflect. How has God moved in your life, right? What are maybe there's something that the Spirit brings to your mind as you meditate on this thought that says, hey, that was actually God moving and working. And just take a moment to reflect on that, to thank God for that, and to be the one that out of the 10 that comes back and that continues to seek after Jesus, that comes back to Jesus and gives glory to God. So again, normal stuff as we end today. Check out our merch if that's something that you're interested in. Supporting the show in that way, that'd be really helpful. Obviously, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff. And as we end today, just take 3, 4, 5 minutes, pause, and reflect. How has God demonstrated His love to you? How has God provided for you? What are some ways maybe you haven't noticed God working in your life? And then just take time to reflect on that and to thank Him for it. So thanks for listening to the podcast today. Until next time, remember, God is moving and working in pop culture.
And also in you.